Heather McDonald has got the juicy scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Whoop whoop. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. Well, for those of you who are listening, we've got your favorite. It's Chris Franjola. There was a Juicy Scoop emergency today, and exactly what you joke about.
Yeah,
that
I get the call.
The higher profile guest, which I will get into that Juicy Scoop on Patreon Friday. I don't know. There's a whole juicy story about it, but that's what I had planned for today, for tomorrow's show, which is, this is Monday. You're listening to this Tuesday. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
So
and I'm sitting having the most wonderful day in my backyard. It's gorgeous weather.
Yes.
Monday's like my one day off, truly off.
Yeah.
And
Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
I get a call at 11 o'clock to get here by 2.
And I said, there's a Juicy Scoop emergency.
Yeah.
And then on top of the Juicy Scoop emergency happening, this is our first day at our new office.
Yes.
And Chris has also joked that he has been the guinea pig for every new location taping. There was a time it was in my bedroom.
Yeah. Several different rooms in your house.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Done.
We once did McKinsey's room, and then we did my bedroom.
We were trying out new TVs or something.
I feel like we once did in the kitchen.
Yeah, in the kitchen.
And, trying out new things. And then we're in the old office. Now this is the new one, which is not too far. But so it's like not decorated completely and, new cameras and sound and everything. And I said, yeah, it looks like shit, but it's only Chris.
I know.
It's only Chris Franjola. So what does it matter?
So for all the people who go on and say, I love this person more than him, or I love that person more than him,
like,
just
don't
know
do
that I constantly, the hurdles that I jump over to be here. And then I also get like... parameters around what I can discuss, because you're like, well, we'd like to discuss that with people who are more fun than you, so let's not discuss that.
That's not true.
Kind of. So anyway, it's fine. I'm here. I'm excited to be here.
We have so much to talk about.
We have so much to talk about. I have a lot to talk about.
We're going to talk about the hottest show that nobody but Chris Franjola watched.
The entire
world,
I watched it
the
twice.
Golden Globes.
Wow.
Here is Jason Sudeikis, better known as the man that Olivia Wilde left for Harry Styles.
That's what. Yeah, they were together 7 years, but never married.
She already moved in, brought the babies.
Yeah,
they're sharing Vogue dresses, and it's so golden. Having the time of their life.
Yeah.
And he's only 27 now. He's acting like stepdaddy. This 47-year-old's 2 kids. She's 37. She's right in the middle. She's playing the game. She's the director that screwed her actor and had him move in with her.
And wasn't it originally another actor? It was that kid who was always in trouble. Shia LaBeouf got fired, and Harry Styles took over.
So had Shia LaBeouf not gotten fired, they would be beautifully dressed. She'd be next to him when he won this award on the Zoom, instead of him being what appears to be my Juicy Scoop tie-dye sweatshirt.
Yeah.
But it looks like there's some other name, but it's probably the same manufacturer, Podswag. Does he have a podcast? I'm sure
Not
he
yet. It's
but
coming.
He sure will, and that'll be his merch. Right away, the guy's like, oh, I've got some great merch ideas for you, Jason.
Ted Lasso, he won for a show
what
called
is
Ted
that
Lasso.
About?
I believe I haven't
Nobody
watched
cares.
it yet. He's a soccer coach who goes to Europe to coach soccer.
Oh,
I could be wrong.
Not going to watch that.
I heard it's really good, but I don't think it's for you. But I heard it's good.
Anyway,
it's on Apple TV, which I like. Apple, it's like I don't want more streaming services.
Oh my God, there's so much to choose from. It's overwhelming. Okay, so what else do we want to talk about? It was all on Zoom. Why couldn't Tina Fey and Amy just at least be in the same coast?
They were in.
They're in 2 different coasts. I mean, I'm like, how lazy can you get? No offense.
I believe it was for this reason.
Okay, I knew there'd be a reason.
Because they would have a certain stars were there as well, so they didn't want people flying. So they said,
so they could utilize some stars in person.
We'll do New York people.
Got
it. We all need to see Rosie Perez.
Yeah.
So Rosie Perez comes out. She comes out and she's a New Yorker. She's not going to fly. So then you had your LA people here for Amy Poehler. And so that was why. But they weren't together. It was just one of those things like, why are we even doing
Why
this?
are we even bothering? And it's like, here's the thing. It's now, we're going on a year. I was going to look up the date of that Sunday, when Gavin said everything was shut down in March. It's coming up. And I just wondered, is anyone going to do anything for the 1 year anniversary?
For me,
what kind of parties are people going to have?
For me, it was when Tom Hanks said he had it, and then the NBA, it was like the same day.
You went by that.
Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson said they had it, and then the NBA said that we're canceling the season, the NBA. So I was
that was when your fun stopped.
That was when my fun stopped.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. We're going to find that date someday in March.
It's like
coming
March
up
16th or something.
Yeah, and see what anyone wants to do with it. If you're going to celebrate, I don't know what we're going to just honor it. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's coming on a year. And so I felt badly because we now it's been since then there was no Emmys, and then was there Emmys Zoom too?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
There was some sort of. But I don't know. Yeah, it was the same.
And then
thing.
this, and I'm like, God, you imagine you work so hard and you finally get nominated, and this is what you get. Like, you'd be like, God, is there any way you could just move me to next year? And in all of my years of wanting to be asked to do something, I got asked to speak at the Gamma Phi Beta national thing, which was going to be in Palm Springs this last spring, but then they called and said, we're just going to do it virtually. And I was smart enough to say, you know what, call me in 2 years.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we don't think it'll be in Palm Springs in 2 years. And I go, that's all right. Just call me in 2 years,
Right.
Then I get called from USC to do the women's conference, which I would have been doing at Boulevard. I would have had a cute outfit.
Yeah.
Peter would have gone down and filmed it. I mean, it would have been amazing.
With other big, successful women.
It's virtual. So I said, okay, great. So I filmed like a little speech, but I now, hopefully anyone could go. I think it's free for anybody, but if you want to listen, I don't know. But I wish I kind of would have been like, hey, if I turn this down this year, then will you call me up next year? Because I really want to show up in a cute outfit and walk around.
Yeah. But will that ever happen again?
Yes.
I mean, you think that Golden Globes next year will be like a full on packed?
Yes, because I think everyone, definitely, because we'll have the vaccine.
But, yeah. Anyway, it was just. Like everybody was, I watched the entire thing, and everybody was coming on. Everybody was muted for the beginning of their acceptance speech, because they're all old people. A lot of them, in some cases, didn't know how to work their systems, and so they were all muted.
And then some people were dressed up, and then some people were just in full blown sweats, didn't even brush their teeth for the occasion.
No, there was
and in some ways I sort of loved it, and then other ways I'm like, you could try. Now I just noticed this about dresses. Okay, so Lisa Rinna's dress for the Real House of Beverly Hills is this gorgeous yellow dress. It is, who is it by? It's I don't know, Alex something. Anyway, I thought I wrote it down. Oh, here we go. It's Alex Perry dress. It goes for $2,865. And Jamie Lee Curtis wore it because I recognized it. Then I watched Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Candy's wearing it in her confessional.
Wow.
So then I looked.
They're the same dress or just all yellow?
The same dress.
Okay.
It only comes in yellow, but it comes in all these different colors of yellow. And you don't know this, but the Real Housewives of Potomac had to have the reunion, and they were issued the color yellow. And there were some horrific yellow dresses.
Oh,
and
yeah?
if I had pulled this up, I could have sent it, and all the ladies could have worn his designs in all different styles, almost like bridesmaids dresses, where you do different styles, and it would have looked great. Okay,
I feel like yellow's a hot color.
It is a hot
anyway,
color.
back to the Golden Globes.
Go back to the Golden Globes. Finish what we were going to say.
Move on to the next topic.
Yes.
Al Pacino was actually at one point sleeping. They were doing a strange thing where they had the winner won, and normally the winner would go up on stage and make their speech,
right?
And you wouldn't see the other people who lost.
Yes.
But they were doing an interesting thing where the winner won, and then they kept the losers on the screen to react to this, in some cases very long speeches. And I thought I was just just cut everybody else out and go full screen on the winner.
Nicole Kidman was there with her husband, Keith Urban, and one of her daughters, and she did not win. But thank God, Nicole told the daughter, like, look, if I don't win, we're going to act all super excited.
Right.
But sometimes there was like a bit of delay, I think, in like what they would see. And then so sometimes they couldn't act that super excited, like the way they'd be normally in an audience. They know to be the minute you don't hear your name, you have to be like really, really happy. But so then sometimes they were like this.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, were they really happy, or is that the delay? What the problem is? Oh, and then Jodie Foster was snuggling in bed with her wife her dog. And a couple seconds later, they hear people go, wow! And she goes, oh, those are my friends downstairs. I'm like, are they wearing masks? Were they all COVID tested?
Yeah.
How many? That sounds like more than 2 friends.
There was a lot of people coming out saying we were all COVID tested. There were people in the audience. It was first responders, socially distanced.
And they're like,
whatever.
Thanks for inviting me to this.
I know. Like the poor people are like, haven't we suffered enough? Like now we got to watch this lame monologue. It's been a long year for us. Now we got to do this shit.
Can you give it to another hero?
I know. It's like your thing. Next year, can we go and we could sit with like, celebrities instead of sitting with more nurses and doctors that we see every day anyway? It's like, this is no fun. Anyway, so it's but
it was disaster.
It was a disaster. Like the sound was bad. There were some funny jokes, and like their monologue they had a couple of funny jokes, but they were kind of like making fun of a lot of. I feel like that show. Emily in Paris, everyone was making fun of the fact that was even nominated because I guess they're saying it's that bad.
Oh, really? They were ripping on it?
Oh, a lot. And then the girls there, like they keep, flashing to that Collins girl, and they're saying this is the stupidest show ever. How to get nominated? And then they flash to her, and I was like, wow, that's kind of bold, but. Anyway.
Emily Collins is Phil Collins' daughter,
Phil
correct?
Collins' daughter, yes.
And she's the one with the incredible brows that really made brows a thing.
She brought brows back. Big brows back, yeah.
Yeah. Good for her.
I honestly, I watched the entire series of Emily in Paris, and I was like, is it any worse than any of those other stupid show? Like, has anyone seen The Neighborhood on CBS? That's like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, well, let's talk about something that we may have to cut out.
Oh, we can. What, do we know people on that?
I don't know. I'm holding back, and at the same time, I'm like, oh, Heather.
What are you holding back
What are you
from?
holding back? Who the hell
I
is
like the people on the show.
Okay, I like these 2 people too.
Yeah.
And I have not seen the film. So I'm just saying from what I witnessed on stage at the Golden Globes, Barb and Star, their characters, I'm like, hey, I did the Groundlings. Kristen Wiig, I think, was just like right under me.
Yeah.
We would do these characters all the time. And they were, Midwestern ladies. Yeah. Hi, ladies. We're having a ladies' lunch. Like it was everyone could do the voice.
Yeah.
It's just
I feel
like,
that's
gosh,
like the first character.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Like, oh, gee, goodness. I don't know why. And, and you're like, so I go, okay, so these girls, because this is her writing partner, I believe, that wrote Bridesmaids with her, and I guess maybe this was something they did 20 years ago at the Groundlings,
right? And
they want to bring it back, and I tell me, people, if you loved it. I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about it.
It's just like I was not laughing.
Did you watch the entire thing?
Their entire bit, I did.
Yeah.
They went to Hollywood Boulevard. Oh, we did.
Oh, they did a bit on the Golden Globes.
They came in as their characters. I thought you said you watched the whole thing.
I must have. At that point, I think I went and microwaved some leftover pasta. I was going in and out, but.
I don't know. Maybe people loved it, thought it was hilarious, thought it was a great escape. I love Kristen Wiig. To me, I don't think it's that funny. To me, it's maybe because I've been through the program with the Groundlings and everyone had that character. I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard. I didn't hear good things about that movie. I had no desire to watch that.
Okay. So let's talk about this horrible crime that happened with the Lady Gaga's dog walker. And I just find the whole thing horrible. But
he's okay.
Let's focus on the dog walker. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they're like, he's going to be okay. But he's been shot 4 fucking times.
And now
4 times.
Yeah, what were they shooting?
I know, in his lungs.
And he was talking on the street.
No, but look, he's on a ventilator here. He is going to recover. But I mean, is he going to ever be able to have the energy to walk again, chase dogs, train dogs? Like this is going to be a long, and she's been great. So just to reiterate, Lady Gaga's was in Italy. She has 3 adorable Frenchies, they call them.
Bulldogs, yeah.
But they call them Frenchies. And the dog walker was walking them in his neighborhood, which is a nice neighborhood in West Hollywood. A white Nissan Altima drove up, said, give us the goods, give us the goods. And he's like, no, he's holding the dog's leashes. Then we see it on a ring cam of a neighbor. They shoot him point blank with a semi-automatic weapon. And it's really awful, but he's crying. He thinks he's going to die. He's begging, anyway, he got to the hospital. The one dog, the dark one, her name's Miss Asia. They're all related. They're all full brother sisters.
Yeah.
And they didn't take her because they could only 2 of them. So
he wouldn't give it up,
one.
I heard. That's why he got shot, because he wouldn't give the dog up. And
well, the other 2 they got because they each could grab one because there was 2 men.
Right.
And they were described as 20 to 25 black men. One had blonde dreads, hoodies. And then she said, I'll give $500,000 to the return of my dogs, safe return of my dogs, no questions asked. A day or 2 later, they find the 2 dogs tied to a pole in an alley miles from the crime scene, from the attempted murder scene is what I'm going to call this. And so now, okay, here's my questions about it. And it's just a question. Everybody, this is just a question. No referring anything. Why isn't there a reward for money to find the actual people that are running around with semi-automatic weapons and shooting an innocent man?
That is interesting. Yeah. Why? No. Yeah. Like just for the return of the dogs. Like, can you catch these guys?
Could it be that I don't know. And and whoever brought in the dogs. Now, if I was an LAPD detective, and I'm sure they're wishing I was one, by the way, to all the cops and detectives. I'm wondering, and maybe they are, whoever brought in these dogs, I would get that woman, because it's an anonymous woman.
Yeah.
I'd get her, and I'd give her good coffee. I would go to a Starbucks.
Sure.
And I would be like, you are going to get the $500,000 from Lady Gaga. But there's another $1 million for you. If you can tell us, because I think she could be some way sucked into it.
They're saying that she's not. They're saying she has nothing to do with it. She found dogs in an alley.
Okay, I don't know who she is. I'm saying, but hopefully that was the first attempt, and maybe they proved. Maybe they did that. They got her the good latte, and they realized no, she absolutely has nothing to do with it. But I mean, my thing is, don't you want to prevent this from happening to another innocent person? And forget about the dogs being stolen, but people being shot for expensive dogs.
Yeah.
And I just find it interesting that there's, he obviously described the people. I haven't seen any drawings of these people.
Me neither. I haven't heard anything about anyone even looking for them.
I wonder if they don't want to say anything about these people because in this climate, I don't know. But this is what the person said. This is how it was described. He saw them. You see, he was literally shot 6 feet apart, probably. Maybe 5. So he saw them. Maybe he couldn't identify them. Obviously, they're going to put on trial. There would have to be plenty of real evidence to tie them to any horrible crime. But everyone's just like, the dogs are back. Yay.
I know. And how hard could it? I mean,
and of course, Lady Gaga's being wonderful. She's going to take care of this dog walker. Okay, but it doesn't matter. You're not only will you maybe never be physically okay.
Yeah.
What about just post-traumatic stress? For the rest of your life. I mean, you're shot 4 times. I mean, it's just. I'm like, we really need to find these people. And
I'm sure
Juicy
they will.
Scoop, I feel, is the only person to try to find the actual people that did this.
Well, I'm sure. I just say. If she walks her dogs in my neighborhood, the next door app, the people, I got people on my block who they are.
The nosiest.
No, they will not let anybody walk down that street without that next door app blowing up. It's unbelievable. And now I became one of the guys. I'm a next door app. I'm looking out my window every 5 minutes. We got a sneaky thing going on.
Oh,
I would have solved this case in 3 minutes on my next door app.
I feel like West Hollywood, it's not a bunch of families.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Nextdoor app was probably started
Do you
by
have
a
it?
Karen.
You have it?
Peter's on it.
it's my favorite
Peter's
thing
the
ever.
main Karen on it.
Peter's like me. Yeah, I was becoming. I didn't realize how many loud bangs were happening in my neighborhood until like at the next. Did you hear a loud bang? There was a loud bang. There was a loud bang. Did anyone hear the loud bang? Like, how many loud bangs are happening?
Well, it is kind of great in that like people can then get to know each other.
Yeah.
Because in California you don't until there's an earthquake
Right.
or until there's a loud bang or a dog that has been stolen. And of course in our neighborhood, unfortunately, the animals get stolen by the coyotes.
Yeah,
you
we're
know?
coyotes. Yeah.
But and so many people are walking their dogs and stuff. So it is very, very
I don't know if you've ever
scary.
taken a deep dive on the next door app, Peter, but they got they got a dating portion on there to hook, for hookups, and there's a lot.
Oh, like find someone in your neighborhood?
Yeah, find someone in your neighborhood. They got a lot of things.
What was the
going
one
on
up for married people? What was it called? Life is short, have an affair.
Oh yeah, what happened to
What was
that
that one called?
Yeah,
It was specifically for married people, but they should merge with
the next door.
the
app.
next door app because it's
Yeah.
like let's find like-minded married people and we just can go to each other's houses and screw and ruin our families that way. But
Then they have a section on.
Ashley Madison.
That's it, Ashley. I knew it was a name. They have a section in the next door app called Free. Just it's free. Come and take it, like neighbors. And I'm like, you guys know you can put this in the garbage, right? Like, hey, I got a couple old Red Book magazines. Anybody want them? Like, we're good.
Well, let's talk about the book libraries that are taking over the valley.
I got 100 of them in my neighborhood.
Oh my God! It started in the East Valley.
Yeah.
Because they're a little more readers, I guess, than where we are. And it's these little, like a little cute book
birdhouse almost, yeah.
with books in it.
Take one or leave one is what they say.
Take one or leave one. And so our neighbors who moved from the East Valley came to our street in the West Valley, and they brought that little bird, whatever. And so my cousin was over visited for Thanksgiving, Peter's niece, and I guess she's not my cousin, she's the niece, but she shows up and we're about to go to the beach to ride bikes, and she's holding this book of baby names. Now she's only about 25 and a college student, and I go, Lauren, what's going on? You have something to tell us? She's like, no, I got it at the Little Bird Library.
She went in and took
Yeah,
one.
like you're just taking like a baby name book, like just like I thought she was like knocked up and we were gonna have a real juicy Thanksgiving,
Oh my God,
and I was
that's
like,
funny.
oh.
Well,
Anyway.
why does she think about getting pregnant? Is that what she took?
No, that was just the book that she was just
Oh,
interested
all right.
in. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are really doing it, but
Yeah.
I saw like a book about Nancy Reagan in there.
Yeah, that's a lot of that kind of stuff. It's nothing really good. It's not the good ones. It's nothing new. It's a bunch of Nancy Reagan. Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Anyway, that's shocking.
I hope
story.
he gets better. Hilaria Baldwin had her 6th baby. People's minds are shooketh.
I saw a picture this morning where she's just.
We have here it is.
There it is. She just covered in babies. It looks like there was like a baby explosion and she got stuck underneath the rubble. I mean, look at all those children.
Now people finally are like, wow, they do look really white and Irish. Because they were always wondering, because, she was Spanish for the first 37 years of her life.
Yeah.
Now she's not.
Uh-huh.
And now she can proudly say the latest one is a redhead. Before she was kind of like, oh, I don't know.
So how many kids does she have?
She has 6.
And
then he has Ireland from.
Oh, that's right. He has just the one.
So yes, she has 6.
So these are all her and Alex kids.
Yes.
Wow.
And, I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe she is Spanish. Take it out.
That's pretty great. Yeah.
Hey, as an Irish person too, maybe she's using the Irish birth control. There's a lot of these are Irish twins essentially because the first one is only 6 months old or something. No, wait, that couldn't be right.
Yeah, no.
Wait.
That couldn't be right.
No. But it is no. She must have gotten pregnant like 5 months. No, wait a minute. How could this be?
I was shocked when I saw.
Wait a minute. That other one looks really little. Anyway, they're extremely close together. Like she must have gotten knocked up at like the 3 months apart. There must only be a year apart. That's what it is. They must be only a year apart.
It's amazing to me how quickly she just got back into like Instagram and stuff. It was like, can't people just take a couple of weeks off after like something that embarrassing?
She did. She just took a couple of weeks off.
I know,
that was it. It was barely a month.
You take a year off. You think.
Can't though when you have a new baby. That was a great PR move.
Yeah, just to get the baby out.
Everybody that's had a bad cancel thing, if you're lucky enough to get knocked up,
right,
that is the way to win back your fans.
Oh, the girl
people,
from
Stassi, and people
Schroeder.
don't hate a mother.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
It's hard to hate a mother.
I think people still hate her. This Hilaria Baldwin though. She's not. She's no comments on her.
Peter.
No comments allowed on her Instagrams anymore.
I think that's probably wise.
Yeah.
But there was just too much that story of just going along with it and everything. But yeah. I don't know. Will she have a seventh?
I think so. I think it's kind of crazy.
I think there's something, and we're going to get into the Woody Allen, Mia Farrow thing. I do think there is something in some ways it's so wonderful to have so many kids. And I just remember years ago, Meredith Vieira was on The View, and she said, I've noticed lately, this must have been like 15, 20 years ago. I've noticed lately that for these really wealthy women in New York, that's kind of the new thing to have more than 2 or 3. Because for so long, like when I grew up, it was like there were people that had 5 and 6 kids and sometimes even more.
Right.
And then for like 25 years, it was really weird if you had more than 2 or 3. Like most people just had the 2. And now it's like almost like I'm so wealthy, and I'm so fabulous, I'm going to have like 5. I'm going to have more than everybody else.
Right.
And I'm going to kind of have this like Mother Teresa kind of, how does she do it all and look so great? I remember The Queen of Versailles from The Greatest Documentary Ever, which I heard is on Amazon Prime. That's about the woman, she was the son below deck, but she had like 8 kids with her much older husband. And then in the documentary, 2008 happened, and they had to get rid of their housekeepers and some of their nannies. And she said, I would have never had these many kids if I thought I had to take care of themselves and the home.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I interviewed her, I said, I love your honesty. Like, I think a lot of people, most people would say, I would have had more if I wasn't working a job or if we had help. So
that's kind of what I think. I think at one point Alec Baldwin, how much money does he have? He's not like a hedge fund manager. He's been in some movies. Like, I don't think he's a multi-billionaire. I would imagine that's why I think he still has to work. Like, he's doing some bad movies. And I think it's just, I need a check. I got 7 kids or whatever. So
7 now.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's like, that's why he's continuing to work as hard as he is. He's in a ton of movies that are in like Redbox. You know what I mean? Like, you can never even see them in the theater or whatever that you do these days. But.
Yeah. I wonder if they could I wonder if they're musical. Wouldn't that be kind of cute if we brought back like a Partridge Family kind of a thing?
Yes, that would be very. Or what's the one? Doe, a deer, a female, Sound of Music. Yeah, there's a bunch of kids in that, right?
Oh my God. She should do a Christmas card in a couple years with them in the Sound of Music outfits.
Yes.
Okay, Hilaria, I know you listen to podcast. Hillary, I guess we're going back to Hillary now.
Oh, we are? Okay. I like the law.
And then someone's like, she talked the other day and she still had her accent. I'm like, well, she can't like stop it in a day. Give her a minute. She has to deprogram.
Right.
Will she still have it 3 years from now or not at all?
I think it'll probably slowly disappear. Like everybody's accent slowly disappears. Does Madonna still have the English accent?
No, she doesn't still have the English accent, except for New York men.
Yeah.
There's certain New York men that come to L.A. and they could be like 85 and they came here after World War II and they still are like, so I'm from Brooklyn. They don't ever lose it.
I know. I'm kind of, I don't lose mine really.
It comes out
sometimes.
So I don't know what will happen with her.
It's embarrassing.
Okay, let's talk about another breakup that happened.
Now, this was quick.
Chriselle Staus.
Yeah.
Who is the better half of that guy from This Is Us, the blonde cutie. Anyway, they were married. She was on Selling Sunset. He broke her heart. We still don't know why. She got on Dancing with the Stars. People thought that she was with people thought that she was with Glebe, who was her partner, because Glebe's wife posted that, he cheated on her and people gave, women were buying him expensive gifts. And so people thought it was her. And then other people thought it was Erica Jane because she was his previous partner.
Yeah.
And maybe she was showering with gifts because there was something where she gave him her car, Erica Jane, or some weird story. But no, then she revealed, I'm actually with a different dancer from Dancing with the Star. This guy's Keo Motsi from South Africa. And she went on a rant this weekend of posts and Instagram stories saying that he lied to her and he's playing the victim because he did a post saying, I miss my mom who died in January. And I think she was saying, oh my God, now like you're using, the sadness of your mom dying and somehow blaming me for that. You're just a liar. And if it's just me and my cats at the end of this life, so then be it. And then she posted a pic later of just her and her dog. And she wrote, just you and me, kid. And I go, well, you have a dog. Why?
Yeah.
What about the cats? Like, I always just, why are people so rude about cats? Like, oh, when I'm an old lady, I'll just have some cats. But my dog is my kid.
Yeah, that's not cool.
That's not cool. Like, why are the cats always always seen as like a loser thing to have?
It's funny to me how quickly she takes her personal life onto social media, which to me seems like I could be wrong. But when people do something like that, I feel like this is some sort of publicist setup.
Okay, so people think it is a PR move.
Yeah.
And that, in fact, she was with Glebe or whatever his name is. And this guy played along for the cover. I do not believe that. I don't think any guy would agree to have someone publicly call him a liar, which is about the worst thing to be called as a guy to get your next girlfriend.
Right.
Like, if the next girl that's dating him is going to be like, why did you think you're a liar? Are you a cheater? What? I don't think he would have been like, let's go along with that. If it was a fake thing, they would have done, we had such a great time together. We respected, they would have done a breakup like that. They wouldn't do this big... But then people said, no, he's a clout chaser, which is a new word that's coming out a lot. Is that
clout chaser?
Clout chasing is like a new thing I've been hearing more of it, I'm saying. I'm hearing more people throw it around. And like guys that, Larsa Pippen said it about guys that date Kardashian people and even herself.
Oh.
She said, they're clout chasers and... I never thought that guys would try to get with really popular, or successful women or women with a lot of following so that they could get those followers. But
is it like bring the receipts? I like that one. People go, and she brought receipts. And that means, they got more information.
Text and screen grabs.
Yeah, I like that
but
one.
the clout chasing is kind of interesting because it's like, it used to be gold diggers, or women that just get with a guy that, and now it's like, no, this clout chasing, I feel it is more about the guy getting with a girl to stay in the limelight, stay relevant, meet other people, get up so that the next girl that they date, how like I always be like, God, how does some woman go from one billionaire to the next? I kind of feel like these guys, they date one like chick at a certain level, and then they were like, oh, if Khloe Kardashian dated him, then he might be good enough to date me.
Right.
And so then they're like putting themselves in a way of really attractive women that also have money and great connections and all of that. And they're like, finally men are learning what women have been doing for years, is just using a guy for a nice home and some purses.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated by. I know we've talked about this story before, but that one woman, I forget her name. She's an English girl who's like took down the Columbia Pictures mogul and Ron Meyer. She was with him.
Yes, that girl. That
she's another one. Like, how does she meet all these people? Like the heads of studios. She was with like 5 different heads of studios, and she was not an actress or anything. She was kind of like struggling actress.
I think with that girl, it was like because she had autism and Asperger's. I think she had a very like mathematical, logical way that is a gift to those people, where they just go, oh, I want that, and the way to get there is here. And so she just walk right up to the person.
But how do you even get into that party? That's all. I'm always like, I've been to hundreds of parties. It's never been heads of studios.
I think there's just people with like unbelievable confidence that just go, remember all those like emails and things that should be like, You said you'd get me that part.
Yeah.
I'm waiting now. I'm ready. I'm here. And then she'd go right up to the person and then also like be flirtatious too, but also just be very bold
that's true.
and not like wait around. You know, I always remember like trying to get into a nightclub, you know, and I was like, oh, I'm sure if I'm polite and nice and wait in this line, then they'll let me in. No. You got to go right up to the bouncer.
Right.
Be really flirty or give them money or whatever to get in. The person that waits in the line. Good fucking luck. No bouncer is like, you know what? Let me reward that person that's quiet in the back. No.
I tried it a couple of years ago at some club in Vegas. I went up to I'll be bold. And I go, I used to be I was on Chelsea lately. And the guy's like, that show's still on? I'm like, and I just write back, okay, I'll just go back to the line. Sorry.
No, now I'll never. I mean, I haven't for a few years,
Yeah.
even be in the situation not to be like completely organized, set up, triple checked. I'm on the list.
Right.
I'm going to be, because it's too embarrassing
So
once
it's
you're
the
old
worst. Yeah.
and you were one time on a TV show. So, no, agree with that. Okay, Taylor Swift got a little pissy the other night. She was watching the Netflix show, which I guess this won a lot of Golden Globes, Ginny and Georgia, for a sexist show. So basically they did a joke, something to the effect of, in the dialogue of the show, she's going faster through, you know, that's faster than the way Taylor Swift goes through men, something like this. And so she did a series of tweets about it, and here, you know, and she's like, wow, you know, interesting that, I think there was another show that made a joke about her, and she's like, interesting, Netflix has 2 of my upcoming shows, yet they allow this joke, and, you know, and here's my opinion, and then you give your opinion.
Okay.
She's right. It's a lazy joke. It's an old joke and it's a lazy joke. She's been in a serious relationship for like 4 to 5 years. I can see why watching it, she'd be like, what the fuck? Like, I could have gone to Apple TV. I could have gone to HBO. I mean, much like the Bridgerton woman, I'm drawing the blank, the greatest, most prolific writer that we've had in the last 5 years. You know, who did Grey's Anatomy and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, she wrote Bridgerton. Shonda Rhimes.
Yeah,
Shonda Rhimes. You know, here she was with ABC all these years, and then she wanted her sister to use her. So, you know, that she wanted her sister to go to Disneyland in her spot. This woman makes them hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
And the person at Disneyland said, no, it's only for 2 passes, and you have to be one of them or something, whatever that story was. And she's like, fuck it. I was going to give you Bridgerton. Now I'm going over to Netflix. So I feel like Taylor Swift was like, I could have gone to Hulu. I could have, with all these things.
Yeah.
I went to Netflix, and you're going to allow these jokes on it. But here's the other side of it. Netflix has
10 million
shows. And if this is why maybe there needs to be even more competition out there, because now are they going to actually have to be in a position to have someone like you would for like standards and practices go through each script and go, well, we can't make that joke about Taylor Swift or Selena Gomez or this, or because we just signed a deal to air her latest concert and this person has a stand-up special, so we can't do a joke about that. I mean,
yeah, that isn't. Also, I mean, you could just.
You have a right to be pissed, Taylor.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But she could also just take the joke. I mean, we get it is a lazy joke, I agree. But, I mean, it's one of those things where you're like, I get the joke about me.
I also feel like as a Netflix exec, you know, like, hey, that's going to happen. You're out in the public. We can't control every writer's room, every single show. The writer's room's not aware that you have a deal. But I remember in our later days of Chelsea lately, when Chelsea became such good friends with so many A-list people, I had a list in my office of up to 28 names that we could no longer write jokes about.
Yeah. Yeah,
from like Scarlett Johansson to Jen Aniston and I was like,
at the end we had like Lindsay Lohan and Mariah Carey were the only 2 that we could still go. Remember?
Truly.
Yeah.
And that's when we started to do jokes about like, oh, this guy screwed Leah Remini.
Yeah.
We couldn't talk about Leah Remini.
Yeah.
But yeah, then at the end, you know, we had to do stories about a guy who fucked a park bench in Florida.
Yeah.
That's all we had left. And it's like, well, that's all the show's about. So the good news is just keep coming to Juicy Scoop, because I don't care. And I don't have a deal with Netflix. However, the bots might come after me for this. So again, I'm saying Taylor Swift had a right to be pissed. I'm just saying if I was the Netflix exec, I'd say, yeah, too bad. I'm sorry. I'd send her a beautiful flower thing.
Yeah.
And I'd say, we'll try to do our best, but we really don't have like a huge screening process of every single joke. And you are in the pop culture world.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
if you want to go to
There's going to
Apple,
be some jokes
goodbye.
made about you if you're in this world.
Yeah.
I don't like the new hair on the Taylor Swift. Is that too much to say? It looks like, I don't know.
Like a mousy braid?
Yeah, but the bangs look, that's exactly when my hair looks like when I just let it dry out of the shower if I don't do like a blowing.
By the way, your hair looks so much better since the last time you were here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, a lot of people have been coming up to me saying that it's much better.
Yeah.
It caused quite a stir.
Yes, it really did.
I know. I couldn't go anywhere without people coming up to me going, oh, the hair doesn't look as bad as Heather made it out to be.
Well, I mean.
No, I got it.
It was the fact that lots of times when Chris comes, I go, these are some of the things we're going to talk about. He's like, I got a haircut. You should, and I go, save it. Mm-hmm. Because what's fun about the show is the spontaneity. And so that was my honest to God real reaction. And I can't control it.
It was great. But I took the heat. Unlike Taylor Swift, I take the jokes. And
there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Armie Hammer. This was a little bit of a misleading title to a thing. He moved out of his LA home in the dead of night, sources claim. Well, he wasn't even there. The house sold, and then the movers came in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And probably because they didn't want a bunch of news things disturbing them, or maybe that was just the time that they wanted to do it so that the next day the people could, well, because the people moving in were like, we're buying Armie Hammer's house. We don't want a bunch of press about it.
This was a story to me that was very exciting when it first came out. And
yes.
then it kind of just laid flat. It didn't really, it was just like, I don't know. I got bored of it quickly. Is that wrong of me?
Well, I don't know. What we do know is, there is an interesting new thing.
Okay.
That all the story about his father, Michael, there's I don't know if it's Netflix, but there's a documentary and a whole movie about all this fake art. There was all this fake art through the museums that were not. Oh, because
they have a museum here
yes,
in Los Angeles.
and that happened many years ago, and that whole thing is coming out now.
Oh, really?
So, and it was, a lot of crimes and a lot of people were involved. So, as far as this goes, I know that he's in the Cayman Islands, and it might lay dormant for a little, but I think there's a lot.
But who wound up getting the part in the J-Lo movie who wound up getting it?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's the guy who married, he's a very nice, handsome guy who married Fergie for a little while from the Black Eyed Peas. What's his name? Handsome guy. He's married to Fergie.
Handsome guy.
He is. Good-looking guy.
I don't know. I
can't think of his name. Oh, anyway, it'll come to me.
Let's go back to Scott Disick and our girl, Amelia Gray,
Look
Hamlin. In this photo, she's just wearing an extremely see-through sweater that's barely buttoned in between, and it's very sexual and very sexy and very naked, very pornographic kind of a little bit.
That button is working overtime right there, holding that thing together.
And she is 19, and he is 37.
I know.
And so the story is, are they? I don't know why people's their faces were cut off, but. Are they planning on replacing the Kardashians, the Hamlins, with their own reality show?
Why not?
I mean, I would definitely give them a reality show. I don't think they have to necessarily.
That's it. Josh Duhamel.
He
got
is
the part.
he going to? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
at least that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think that they've had a reality show. They had one many years ago, and then we know she does great being herself, Lisa. Rinna, the girl. I mean, no one can replace the Kardashians because there's
it's
so
funny.
many
Say what
of
you
them,
want. Yeah,
and they're funny and they have
so many
great
families
personalities.
have tried it, and it's just like not as fun as they were.
And also, there's just so many of them, and they all had their own personalities, and they're all pretty and they're funny, and just everything about it.
Right.
So these girls are pretty, and I'm sure they're okay personalities, but I don't think. But they don't have to be as good as the Kardashians. They have to just be as good as the Bellas or whatever. which I've never seen. Those are those wrestling pregnant girls.
Oh, but they, yeah. That's been on for a long time too.
Been a long time.
Yeah.
They had matching pregnancies. Right. I don't know if they're still wrestling, but like that lasted. There was only 2 of them.
But then like Gene Simmons tried, like the family, they all tried them, and some of them just are not.
But some of them can go for a little bit. But then you wonder, like, with the amount of money that now, when those shows started, that was a moneymaker because it was the only way to make money, and someone needed to be on a reality show to make money.
Right.
But now these girls and Lisa make so much money with their products and their modeling and their Instagram and stuff. Do they really want the cameras coming around for like a check?
No, I know. Why
and
even
do
do
fake
it anymore?
things and have people say, okay, now we want the 2 girls to get in a fight. Remember when Kim and Courtney got in a fight over jeans that someone took from the other that was really based on their real life in 7th grade. Let's have it happen again here. Like, it's not, it just, I say don't bother.
No, they'll get more views on an Instagram story. They really will than something on E! or whatever.
Okay. So the big interview that I thought I was going to get, which is why I got this new office, because I thought Meghan Merkel and Prince Harry would do their first interview with me.
Yeah.
But my nemesis, Oprah, got it.
Yeah.
And
they do live together in Santa Barbara, so they didn't have to travel far.
I would have driven up there and I would have brought my equipment. So I'm like, when is this coming? Anyway, it's March 7th, CBS. And it's kind of interesting because what we know is that they felt they had to leave, that there was, they just couldn't take it anymore in England. You know, people were racist towards her and everything. But then this Juicy Scooper wrote this thing, and I kind of felt like, oh, this is kind of a good point of view of someone else. She wrote, I'm just hiding her name because she doesn't say she has an important job, but she doesn't want that people to know that she's part of Juicy Scoop Obsessed from my Facebook group. But she said, okay, I'm in the UK, this woman. We've got Juicy Scoopers all over the world. Harry and Meghan got married. There's huge public support for them both here. Everyone watches the wedding. She rides in the carriage through the Windsor smiling, waving. People line the streets. There are lots of press about her family. Her sister, her dad not going. Her sis is desperate to get any airtime. We know that, Samantha. The pushy sister, her book is out. The pushy princess or something.
They do have the same nose. That's
which is the dad's nose, which is adorable. You know, stories are leaked from friends. She does get a tough time in the right-wing media, as Kate Middleton did in the early days. Her uncle is a drug addict. Her mom's is a flight attendant. How dare they become the future queen, blah, blah, blah. I guess so she is saying that people...
Oh, Kate Middleton, yeah.
Yeah, so they were saying people were bitchy. They have a baby, huge interest from the public. Everyone desperate to see the baby. They decide not to release any pics for a few weeks. Well, that sounds like she's a little bitter. Lots of chatter from their home, how difficult they both are. Okay, they sack, that's an English word, about 4 assistants, sit in the royal box in Wimbledon, and then complain that people are taking their picture, talk about the devastation of climate change, and then fly in a private jet to Ibiza to complete a $5 million renovation on their home. Meanwhile, still active royals, therefore funded by the British taxpayer, go on a trip to Africa.
This is Samantha Markle writing this. Sounds like she's very upset.
Then they say, let's see. Then they decide to leave active duties, search for privacy. So they decide to move to California and give interviews to James Corden and Oprah about how much they crave privacy.
Yeah. I watched the James Corden one. Did you watch it?
No.
I feel like it almost kind of a little bit trumped the Oprah one because he does tell the story.
What does he say? Tell.
It's like a 17-minute thing. You know, it's a little jokey because it's James Corden, but they're on like a bus.
Having tea, right?
Yeah, like a tea on top of a double-decker bus. And he asks him about why he left, and he kind of tells the story. I mean, I don't know how much different it can be. No, just
what is the story, basically?
Basically, he said, you know, I was protecting my wife and my baby. I feel like the basically what that woman was just saying. The press and everybody in England is too crazy, and I felt my life was in danger. And theirs was too. So I got out.
Actually, when I first started reading that thing, I was kind of like, hey, what are they bitching about? People were supportive. But then as I read it again, I was like, no, she's basically saying that then people were like, where's the baby? And, oh, why are you firing people? And, we don't know. Maybe they weren't nice to her or whatever. Maybe she didn't want those. I don't know. It'll be interesting
I'll definitely
to see.
watch it.
But, yeah, of course, just like everybody else, they're looking around and being like, oh, my God, if the Kardashians can have a makeup line, well, I should have a makeup, like J-Lo. It's like goes in like J-Lo's like, my God, everyone has a skincare line. Why the hell don't I have a skincare line? I have the best skin of anybody. So now she has a skincare line. And I almost think like Meghan Markle was like, God, everyone has a podcast and clothing lines, and every reality star has a clothing line for their baby. Like, what are we doing? We're going to make so much money. Let's just do, why? Of course they're going to buy us.
Yeah.
We have style. We're classy. We're adorable.
So is that what they're going to do? I mean,
they trademarked all this stuff right before they left, but I think they originally trademarked it with the Sussex thing.
Oh, so they're going to make like
then they're going to make tea.
Like jeans or like what?
Everything. They literally trademarked it for baby clothes, home goods, all this stuff. But then the Queen said, and this is how I understand it, then the Queen said, no, you can't have that title anymore if you're not going to be royals anymore.
Oh.
So now maybe they'll just call it like H and,
Yeah, Harry and Meghan.
Yeah.
H&M. Oh, they can't do that either. That's already taken. Damn it. Yeah.
I don't know. Archie's Way. I don't know what they'll call it.
But they have another kid, right? Isn't she pregnant again?
So she's pregnant with another boy. Another thing we have in common.
2 boys, yeah.
But let's go to Oprah, the childless one. I don't know. I don't get it. Just kidding.
I also, while he was on James Corden, he said that Archie is 18 months or 19 months now, and he's stringing together a few words right now, currently. Yeah. I just want to say that my daughter is also 19 months, and she speaks both English and Spanish, and a lot.
What's really cute, though, is when a little baby boy has an English accent and curses.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think there's anything cuter than a polite-sounding English child that uses bad words.
Well, my daughter says clock a lot, but it comes out cock, so we have that.
That's very funny.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
She looks stunning here. She looks a little different, but I think it just might be a pregnancy face. But it's like instant filler. Like she looks like she's like 22 there.
She's good looking.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah. I don't like the dress with like the splotches on it. What is that?
Well, they said it means something.
Oh.
I don't know.
Anyway, I think it. I don't know. I watched that Harry on James Corden. He seems kind of like a fun guy.
He is a fun guy. He's a great guy. It's fun. Did he talk about why he's not friends with his brother anymore?
They didn't mention that. I think that might be on this one. It might be on the Oprah one. I bet they had some. I bet Oprah was like, listen, if you're gonna do me, don't give everything away on James Corden, so
yes,
they did like a couple of bits on James Corden.
I think the other thing is when you're estranged with your brother and the whole world knows it, it's almost like, oh my God, you've got to get, friendly with your brother again or something. Even if they wanted to, now you're like, oh, then if we did meet or go to lunch or talk again, then that's a whole nother story that we're back together again. Maybe I don't miss my brother that much.
He also kind of says,
know what I mean?
Yeah, he kind of says that that's a little made up. With the Queen, he says, we're fine. She talks to us all the time via Zoom, and whether it's true or not, I don't know. But that's what he says on the James Corden interview. So who knows?
Should be the baby.
Yeah, the old broads. I didn't know Queen Elizabeth could do Zoom. How did she figure that out? They couldn't figure out the Golden Globes. Al Pacino was sleeping.
Oh, my God. Okay. So let's get into Alan versus Pharaoh. Holy shit. This is on HBO Max. 2 episodes in. This is a story that's been well documented in the news. I remember when it happened. I couldn't believe it broke as long ago as 1992 because it feels like yesterday when
No, him and Sunil have been together forever now.
And, so Woody Allen was this incredible writer-director, this like Jewish kind of funny, New York-y character. And Mia Farrow is this gorgeous girl, actress who came from a mother who was also an actress. And there were some interesting things about it. So they got together. There's so much to explain to the story, but when they got together, a little bit about her, though, I thought that was interesting. The biggest part of the story is that she had an adopted daughter named Sunyi, who she adopted when she was older. I think she looked about 6 or 7 when she adopted her.
And she adopted her with other kids at the time. I believe
she had many adopted kids already. She had
with another husband.
Right. She had twin boys with this guy.
Yeah.
Pervin, I guess. But prior to getting with Pervin, she was 19 when she got with Frank Sinatra, who was 51.
Yeah.
So they had about a 30-year age difference, and they were only married 2 years. No kids. Then the story gets a little interesting because according to one of her adopted sons, which is the article I sent you, Moses Pharaoh wrote something in 2018 that a Juicy Scooper sent me. That was a public blog post. He said, my mother moved in with Pervin and his wife, and she got pregnant with Pervin's child, and then the wife left him. And I think she might have died or killed herself. I'm not.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so then Mia never mentions that part in the second episode. So then she has twins with that guy, and then they adopt some children. And she said, we wanted to adopt some children from Vietnam because it was after the Vietnam War, and people were doing this to help these orphans. And then I adopted Sunyi from Korea, and she was an older child, and it was always very hard to, she's very quiet. It was hard to bond with her. And then there's 2 big parts of the story. One is that Woody was accused of molesting his 7-year-old adopted daughter with Mia. They were mother and father both to this child. And that he, in fact, fell in love with her daughter, who technically wasn't his, but adopted, Sunyi. And they've been together ever since she was about 18 and a half.
Yeah.
And they're still together today.
Right. Which right there.
Almost 30 years later.
Yeah. They're still together.
And
I can't believe he's 89 years old.
And they have a couple kids, don't they?
No, I don't think they have any kids. I could be wrong. I don't think they do.
Peter, can you just look up if Sunyi is a mother to anybody?
Unless they adopted them. I don't think she had kids with him.
I wonder. So there's so much to unravel. It's a great documentary. It's 4 parts, so catch up. And of course, well, the thing that always made me crazy. So I think it's very interesting. That something that wasn't mentioned in this is that Mia Farrow had her first marriage was a man, basically the same age difference.
Yeah.
Of what her daughter was, but we get evidence from the second episode that in fact Sunyi was most likely having a sexual relationship with Woody Allen when she was still a senior at the all-girl high school Marymount, because she'd show up at his place in her Catholic school uniform, which I'm like, if you couldn't be any more of like a perv's dream.
Yeah.
And the maid revealed to Mia that, yes, I'd have to clean the semen-stained sheets, and I would have to...
Is that what it says in the documentary?
Yes. What were you not? The microwave again? Okay. And then and
thank God I didn't have to hear about Woody Allen's semen.
And used condoms and everything.
Oh.
He said that the sexual affair did not happen until she was her freshman year, first semester in college. That he was spending time with her, taking her to games and basketball games. And then one day he said, come to the screening of my movie. And according to his autobiography that came out in 2020, in which they're sharing the audio version of it, he's like, and then after the screening, I leaned over and I kissed her. And she said, what took you so long? And I'm like, I just don't see Sunyi. It sounds like a movie line out of like,
one of his
frankly,
movies.
my dear, I don't give a damn. Like, I was like, really? She really said, what took you so long?
Yeah.
And I thought that part was so interesting because in the second episode, they go deep into his films, which I have been obsessed with. Because
that he's got young girls in every one of his films.
Every single one, because I remember really loving Woody Allen movies when I was in in high school, like Hannah and her sisters, and in college, and I'd go see the Woody Allen movies. I loved the New York. I mean, the way he films it makes you fall in love with New York.
Yeah.
But I remember always going like, God, how are all these young girls so... Every character that he wrote and he would star in it was young girls dying to fuck Woody Allen. Could not get enough of his dick.
Yeah.
He was like, I mean, why would you want me? You got to go for somebody. Okay, God, and the girl's like, come on, I want to. Every time, and I remember being like, by the end of the movie, oh, I guess it's not that weird. I guess he really is that appealing. But when the movie would start, I'd be like, why does this young girl want to be with this guy who's like 5'6", 90 pounds?
Yeah.
Not attractive, so old, and he kept normalizing it, and that is what Louis C.K. did in that last film that was very Woody Allen.
To adopted children.
Soon Yi's 47, and she adopted 2 children.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, I remember in that movie that then was ripped from anyone seeing it.
Yeah, when the Louis C.K. thing went down.
But it was normalizing that his character's daughter was super horny for this like 70-year-old man.
Yeah. When
she was a senior in high school, and then he expressed it to this other woman, and she's like, "Well, I was the same way when I was 17, and I was in a relationship with a 38-year-old man, and I pursued him." And it's like the whole Lolita thing. Like they're trying to like groom the audience to think that this is okay.
Right.
And sometimes after you watch it, you're like, is it okay? No. Like the Manhattan movie with
Mariel Hemingway. She's like 16 in it, I think.
Yes, she was. Well, her character was 17.
Yeah.
And the movie starts out, and they're at Elaine's, which is like a classic place in New York. And 3 of the characters, including Woody, are
Elaine's
in their 40s.
Is where Woody Harold
had
and Mia
Mia's
met.
first date, or when they first met.
Yeah.
And then she's sitting, and then she's this girl, no makeup, but she's a model, and they're a full-on couple, and they're like act like an old married couple in the bed watching TV. She can't get enough of him. He's like, how many times do you need it a night? She's like, and she's like 17. She looks about 15. She's like, we have great sex. What does she know what great sex is?
No,
she's 17.
I mean, the whole thing, honestly, the story for me is over with the Soon Yi thing. I'm like, the guy doesn't really have a leg to stand on. The fact that he, I know it's not technically his daughter or whatever, but if you marry into a family that has adopted children, I don't think you're supposed to fuck them. Like that that's where it ends for me. Like that.
It's horrible.
And the funny thing is, I know most people know he's guilty or assume he's guilty.
Of molesting this 7-year-old. That's what it's about. Yeah.
That. But there's not many people saying that, leave him alone. He's
Except
a great
for
guy.
Moses.
Right.
Moses, who believes it did not happen. He believes that his sister, according to this blog post, that his sister was in fact sort of coerced into believing that this actually happened to her from the mother. From
but
Mia.
if this was any other person other than Woody Allen, if this was a mailman or somebody who works at a Target, everyone would be like, "This is fucking crazy,"
Right?
But because it's a celebrity of sorts, people have a tendency not to believe it. I don't know. The whole thing. It's kind of hard to watch the documentary, because honestly, I don't know if you're the same way as me. In some of the videos that they show a lot of videos of them together on vacations and stuff. And he seems like kind of a good father. Was I wrong in some of the videos? Like he's in the pool with the kids at the hotel and stuff. He's like, he seems kind of like even more so than I thought.
One thing I thought was strange though is the homes videos of Dylan.
Yeah.
Who is a girl. A lot of them just in like underwear.
Yeah.
And she's like 7. I always think that's kind of strange when little girls, like after age like 2 are not, or 3 are not like properly covered.
Yeah, that is a little.
I just think that's kind of, I know that's hippy dippy, but like, I don't know. I think that's sort of strange.
Yeah.
And I thought, I felt for Mia so much in that, forget about that you have this daughter that you love and that you adopted. And yes, she did adopt a lot of kids, and maybe she adopted too many, and maybe she was spread too thin, and maybe she wasn't a great parent to all of them. But take that away from it. the thing that I really walked away from is that he started having her be in all his movies, and they did 13 films together in 10 years. And he's like, you're in your 30s. No one else is going to hire you.
Right.
And she's already won like awards. She was an established actress. She'd been working since she was 16. She had a full career before she got with
Rosemary's
them.
Baby is like her biggest movie. That was before Woody Allen.
Yeah, and then when they would do all these movies where she was still gorgeous, but she was always like very downplayed, like in her dressing and her hair and like very little makeup, but she just had like this gorgeous face. And so they're in all these movies together and everything. And then he's like, well, you don't need an agent. You can just use mine. Which again, so then she probably wasn't even getting maybe not paid or whatever, even as much as she could. But she was like, okay, so the only parts I can get are through Woody. I've been now told for the last 10 years, no one else will hire me. I have all these kids I have to raise. I'm actually in love with Woody, even though we've had like fights or whatever. And then he's saying to her when she realizes, because she finds these nude Polaroids of Sun-Yi in his house that clearly he took and that are very explicit. And he says, and they have it on tape, he's like, yes, it happened, but it won't ever happen again. So at one point, he really is still trying to get with her.
Yeah.
Or save his reputation. I don't know what. Because he goes, let's do a press conference and say all this isn't true.
But
that's
at that
before
point,
the abuse.
I'll
was
say
before
this.
The Dylan abuse.
I think Woody Allen's a scumbag, and I believe it all.
Yeah.
But everybody in it seems a bit strange. Like Mia Farrow's obviously not all there either.
Yeah.
I could be. That's what I take away from it. You know, even those stories you just told.
Yeah.
And if I find pictures of my adopted daughter naked that the guy I'm living with took, that's it. It's over at that point. Like, how did they continue the relationship? Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
And he said the same thing in his book that he said in the Manhattan movie to the 17-year-old Marielle Hemingway character, who, by the way, was based on a real woman.
Oh, yeah.
And they interview the real woman, and she is, first of all, I have to look how old she is because she's absolutely gorgeous. But she goes, no, I was dating Woody Allen when I was 17 for 3 years behind my parents' back. And then we broke up, and I saw the movie Manhattan, and I called him and I said, am I your muse? And he's like, of course you were. And she goes, and I thought it was fine because I think I'm mature and I'm smart. She's like, but I had a history of abuse. She'd been raped as a child.
Right.
And so then this guy shows interest, and she's like, and she's like, and afterwards it screwed me up for adult relationships, but it made me a really overprotective mother. But at the time at 17, I think, oh, I'm mature. And that's exactly what the movie was. And then with Marielle Hemingway's character in Manhattan, he writes the words where he's like, you can't be in love with me. I'm just an interim for the journey of your life. You should have other boyfriends. You should date all these people. And she's crying. I just want you. We have fun together. Oh my God, get off my dick. This girl's attacking me. Like he's the ingenue in this thing. And then with Sun-Yi, he says that in his book. I did not think that this was going to be anything. I just thought this might be a nice experience for her. That somebody finally show her some interest. Oh, because out of all the kids, she wasn't handicapped, so she didn't get the attention that some of the handicapped kids got.
Right.
And, But the blog from the Moses is also very interesting because a couple of those kids that were adopted struggled and ended their lives and things.
Oh, wait.
A couple of her kids that were adopted are no longer on this earth.
Really?
Yes, and there's some, according to Moses, there's some suspicious reasons.
Oh my God, there should be 10 parts to this documentary. The whole thing's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting.
But I always think that's so. I love that they focused on all those movies.
The home movies.
No, all the movies that he wrote, that it's always about. And one of the things he even said in so many of them, it was a freshman. Oh, what the guy said is they had all this archives at Princeton of like movie scripts and pitches and stuff that didn't make it. And a lot of them all featured like a freshman in college at like a prestigious all-girl college.
Yeah.
That was always the girl that was then going after an old man. I mean, that part is crazy, and because I was so aware of Woody Allen, when I saw it in that movie of Louis C.K.'s, I was like, this motherfucker is trying to like normalize this.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that he's into young girls, but it was a very similar take.
I don't know if that's ever been.
I'm not saying that is the case.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the movie.
I think he thinks he's Woody Allen.
But the movie was making him all innocent, and he was like, the people that were like disgusting and horny and like were not his character.
Right.
So he had an male assistant who's jacking off in the office while a meeting's happening. And he's like, come on, guy, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But it's not his character.
Oh, okay.
But he wrote every word of the script.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's interesting what people put on the page and what they put out there.
Yeah.
And that Manhattan was just so well received, Oscar nominated, and nobody was like, and I remember watching it as a kid being like, why would this 17-year-old girl be into hanging out with this? Like, and then I remember thinking in my head, well, she must be very bright and mature. She must be brighter and more mature than I am, because I wouldn't want to have to sleep with Woody Allen.
And doesn't he?
But maybe I'm not smart enough for Woody Allen. That's what I really thought.
Doesn't he leave Meryl Streep for Mariel Hemingway? And Meryl Streep's like, I guess in that movie considered old. She's like 24.
Yes.
Yeah. And gorgeous. I mean, that's a lot.
No, all these women want him.
Right. Anyway.
And he's just like, I gotta go see my therapist. And
yeah. Hey, the guy's made some good movies. Doesn't mean
it's really, really well done. It's totally fascinating. Where can they find Chris Franjola besides Cover to Cover every Thursday, which is the hottest podcast?
Cover to Cover's my podcast. Go, get it. We're
Everyone loves it.
It's fun. We have a nice time over there. It's catching on. I've taken your people.
That's fine. My people.
Yeah. And
hey,
thank God.
I'm willing to
come
share
out to live
the
shows.
best audience on earth.
Yeah. Live, I'll be in Spokane Comedy Club, April 1st, 2nd, 3rd. That's my next live date, Spokane.
Oh.
And it's been fun out there doing shows.
Yeah.
again.
So, they do it safe at all the places. I will be next in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And in March, I think it's March 12th and 13th. And then Dallas, my Dallas shows, I think the only one that's not sold out, you guys, is second show Friday in Dallas, the 26th. And both show Saturdays are sold out. And so San Antonio's going to sell out too. And everything is at heathermcdonald.net. Chris, thank you for once again being the guinea pig.
Okay. Being here last minute.
And last minute.
When nobody else could make. How many phone calls did you make before you called me?
I swear on both of my
Fortune
kids'
didn't
lives.
answer. Sarah Colonna didn't answer.
I swear on both my kids' lives, and Peter's here.
Okay.
Who did I call? Chris is the only person I called.
Right. Well, I appreciate that.
The only person I called.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
And go to patreon.com/JuicyScoop to get the story behind why we had to suffer with another show with Chris.
It was, it's a fascinating story. You should get that Patreon. It's pretty good. But here I am.
Love you, honey.
I love you back.
Bye.